Hey everyone, Zirin here, and I decided that after getting an incredibly good laugh out of one particular visual novel, it got me thinking about some of the dumbest titles I've ever seen throughout my entire time playing Japanese visual novels. You know, the ones where you see the title and you have to question, how did they settle on such a name? While I certainly can't promise that you never heard of any of these, I can safely say that you will have a good laugh hearing about them. What constitutes as a title is whatever is on the box of the game, including whatever subtitle these Japanese games decide to include. 2. I will not be saying much about the game itself, but rather I'm just poking fun at the title of the game. Finally, many of these visual novels will be Japanese only, although most will have English titles because they're trying to sound as cool as humanly possible. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's start it off strong with number 5, Zero Infinity Devil of Maxwell by Light. Sometimes the title of a visual novel is simply just the name of an important character or object, like Rance, Demon Bane, Varathragna. Sometimes it's more conceptual, and then sometimes it's just a string of words that sound super cool, I guess. It's like a Japanese developer took out an English dictionary and was like, what word here will sound really cool together? We see this all the time, you know. Fate Stay Night, Steins Gate, Gears of Dragoon, Labyrinth of Ouroboros. Do any of these titles really give insight into what the game is going to be about? The answer is, of course, not really. Still, I figured Zero Infinity Devil of Maxwell probably represents this idea the best. Cause Zero Infinity, what does that mean, right? We divide something by zero, it turns into infinity. And I mean, sure, Devil of Maxwell is probably directly referring to Maxwell's Demon, a thought experiment created by physicist James Clerk Maxwell, where he suggests how it's possible for the second law of thermodynamics to be violated, where a theoretical demon of sorts controls a small door between two chambers of gas, something like that. Now, you might be asking, what does this have to do with a visual novel in particular by Light? And my answer is, I have no idea, because honestly I have not played it, but I imagine very loosely at best. Who knows, maybe it's fantastic, it's definitely got a pretty solid opening and box cover, and even if the title is kind of nonsense, it's still nothing compared to what we're gonna see later down this list. Number 4, Trauma Center Second Opinion by Atlus. At first glance, you might look at this title and go, I don't see anything wrong with this. The game in question is a visual novel surgeon simulator hybrid, so Trauma Center seems like a perfectly suited title. The reason it's on this list is with regards to the second part of the title, Second Opinion, because this game is not the first game in the series, nor is it the second game in the series like you would imagine it to be, but rather, it is a Wii remake of the first Trauma Center Under the Knife, that was released on the DS. I do understand what they were trying to go for, cause, you know, Second Opinion sounds pretty Doctor-esque, and it's supposed to be the first Trauma Center, but a second opinion of it. Even still, I don't think using the word second is ever a good idea when you're trying to describe a remake to the first game. It doesn't help either that there was another Trauma Center entry on the Wii called Trauma Center New Blood, which just by that existing, it sounds like Second Opinion would be a sequel to New Blood, but instead that's just a spin-off. What I'm trying to say is that Trauma Center choice of subtitle naming was very confusing. And then the last game in this series, they just dropped the center entirely and call it Trauma Team, and that game takes place in between the two games I just mentioned. Whew. Anyways, on a side note, I actually really love the Trauma Center series, probably because it was made by Atlus and I just love their art style and the vast majority of their games. In number 3, we have a Japanese one called Nuki Gay mitai na shima ni sunderu watashi wa dou suria ii desu ka? Is this utopia or dystopia by Kyurubo? For the third entry on our list, since it's in Japanese, I'll be translating it incredibly roughly. In English, this title will be something like, in this Nuki Gay-like island, what am I supposed to do? Those of you who can read Japanese might be confused because instead of watashi, the kanji for small boobs, hinyu, is used here. But in the original title, they put watashi on top of the kanji, indicating that's what they want you to say in place of the word. Why did they do this instead of just making the title watashi? No idea. I'm assuming it's just for that joke of, you know, what is someone with small boobs supposed to do on this island? I know. Putting this right after Trauma Center is like a mood whiplash of sorts. This visual novel title gets the number 3 spot because even though it has a title that fits right in with any other Nuki Gay or hentai title, you know, the ones like big-breasted female knight's disgrace or something like that. That this title is actually a camouflage for what is legitimately a very well-written and story-focused visual novel, from what I've been told, because I haven't actually played it yet. But I do trust that everyone isn't just memeing. Just the idea of the game using such a title as a front makes it all the more ridiculous in my eyes. Even the description and title just honestly seems like a Nuki Gay. Yeah, sure, there are games like Monster Girl Quest or Doki Doki Literature Club where at first it seems like it's just gonna be a normal Nuki Gay title or a generic school life story, but instead both having a much deeper story underneath. But I don't think either of their titles match up to this game's one of, Nuki Gay Island. Just how brazen and upfront the title is remarkable in of itself. For number 2, we've got DeepOne by Nameless. Now if it was just that, DeepOne, whatever, mysterious English name, but on the box cover, right underneath DeepOne, is a string of English text, on the Japanese box mind you, that reads, "This is a bruise named Perfection," which is engraved on its so. Absolutely freaking beautiful. And if that wasn't enough, there's an alternate subtitle that goes, "That is the scar left by deities on the depth of my soul." The title and the subtitle on this box is so edgy that I wouldn't be surprised if just by picking it up, you would instantly cut yourself. It's so good! What makes it even better is that all of this is English text on a Japanese only game. If there was a line separating between sounding cool and clearly trying too hard to sound cool, DeepOne has crossed that line 5 times over. The box art adds to it even more. I mean, look at this Yu Narukami looking guy in the background, pushing up his glasses with a lens flare. It's so perfect! It's like a Chunibyo character became a box. Even the title, DeepOne itself, has a blood dripping effect on the letter P. I don't think I need to explain why this visual novel gets the number 2 spot. Still, I will say though, if we look at the fact that the primary purpose of a title and a box art is to draw the attention of the viewer, then I will say, it did succeed. I am interested in checking it out. Not because I think it actually is super good. Whenever a product goes this far, it's usually a bad sign. But I think I will probably have a great laugh checking this one out, maybe someday. And finally, for number 1, the winner for the most ridiculous title I've ever seen on a visual novel easily goes to 12 Riven, the Cycliminal of the Integral by Cyberfront, the last of the Infinity series. Yes, you heard me right. 12 Riven, the Cycliminal of the Integral. I have never seen a title like this one where I read it and my brain just stopped functioning for a second after reading it. Like it couldn't even begin to comprehend what those words put together could mean. The fact that the psi in the title is the Greek symbol for psi and not even spelled out makes it that much better. Yeah, I talked about the 5th game on the list, Zero Infinity, Devil, and Maxwell, just being cool words put together, but at least that sounds like it could make some sort of sense, you know? What does Riven mean? Googling it, well honestly I got League of Legends for obvious reasons, but going past that, I found that it is the past tense of the word rive, which means to split apart violently. Okay, why is it 12? I mean, I know every game in the series is a word then a number, like Never 7, Ever 17, Remember 11. But then why does Uchikoshi decide to flip it around this time with 12 Riven? Each one also had a subtitle relating to infinity, like the end of infinity, the age of infinity. So why is this one suddenly the Cycliminal of the Integral? What on earth is a Cycliminal? Is Climinal even a word? In this entire title, the only words that I recognize is of, D, and integro. And even that, together with this sentence, I still have no idea what it's saying at all. I know Uchikoshi for the Infinity series started out as a Gaoge with science fiction elements with Never 7, and then slowly with each entry in the series, moved to becoming a science fiction with slight Gaoge elements. So having played Ever 17 and Remember 11, I can't even begin to imagine what 12 Riven is gonna be like. And I suppose if I keep that in mind, that this absolute insane title maybe it does kind of represent the logical mind screw that 12 Riven is probably going to be. And yeah, that was the 5 most ridiculous visual novel titles I have come across throughout my VN reading history. I try to show a different reason with every single entry of why each title is just so ridiculous to me, whether it be because of just nonsense words, it being incredibly confusing in terms of series, it being a camouflage title, and so on. Of course, there are plenty of ridiculous titles out there, and I only covered a handful of my favorite ones that gave me a good laugh just thinking about them. If you have any other ridiculous visual novel titles that you want to share, feel free to put them down in the comment section below. And before you start scrolling down, if you enjoyed what you saw, the like button is down there as always. Subscribe if you want to support the channel, notification all buttons to get notified when the next video comes out, and I'll be seeing you later. Till next time!